Have you ever wanted to get amazing aerial footage like ScrapMan does? For example, the rising shot. And closely related but completely different, the falling shot. Ow! The pan left. And similarly but completely different, the pan right. Ow! Dang it. And of course there's always the epic zoom out. Not to be confused with sometimes the more epic zoom in. No, stop! Ow! Then there's the much more difficult 360 pan. And then there's the ever popular asking for help. Hey guys, I fell out of the drone. Someone help. Someone help me get this thing down. Guys, don't worry, I got it. It's not tall enough. Anyone? Oh. All of this and more coming up. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this is ScrapMan, bringing you another episode of Scrap Mechanic, and this is based off of a lot of your requests. Sometimes you see me mess around with this little, like, kind of flight drone thing that helps me get a bird's eye view and kind of like some smooth camera action going on. So I'm gonna show you, by popular request, I'm gonna show you exactly what went into building that and a couple of the steps I went to get there, because there's been a couple of different versions, each with their own little improvements. So I thought it'd be interesting for you to know exactly what I've been using to get those more cinematic shots throughout my episodes in Scrap Mechanic. So let's get to it. Alright, so this is the Scrap Drone 1.0. This is the first one I made, and this was more of like I wanted something quick and simple to record some of the episodes. Now this one's from a long time ago and I have not used it in a while. It's definitely the simplest and the crappiest. It is not very well balanced at all, especially when it comes to yaw, but I'll show you how it works. So basically this one is tilt-based, which would be pitch and roll based. So the controls I use for all my flight creations are as follows, in case you weren't aware. So number 1 through 10, 1, 2, 3, 4 are T, G, F, H. And I use that for up, down, and then the yaw. Numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8 are up, down, left, right on the arrows, and that's for my pitch and my roll. And then number 9 and 10 are usually R and Y, and I usually use number 9 to activate and deactivate the hover mode. So if I press number 9 here, which is R for me, you can see that very center thrust activates, and that creates my neutral buoyancy. In this case, it's slightly more than neutral, because you can see me rising up ever so slightly. So that makes it really, really easy for me to do T and G. So I go T for up, G for down. And what that looks like in first person is this nice little upwards and downwards kind of thing here. Now the unfortunate thing, or the thing about this one that makes it inferior to all the rest, is that in order to get a forward zoom or a backwards or a panning side to side, you have to tilt, whoop, my hands are in the wrong position. In order to get like a panning zoom or a panning shot side to side or a zoom forward and back, you actually have to tilt yourself forward. And now we're gonna be moving forward for the zoom here. And the stop, you gotta tilt yourself back. And so on, if I wanted to go side to side. Now this is all fine when you're in third person, which isn't good for the camera, but once you're in first person, the problem is, I'm tilting forward right now, but I cannot tell how much I'm tilting. And it makes it very, very difficult. Oh, see there, I overdid it and my seat came up into my view. Yep. So that happened to me a lot and I wanted that to stop happening. But not only that, watch if I do yaw on this thing. So because the yaw is on the top there, here, let me go into free cam. It is extremely unbalanced. So the more I do yaw, you can see that one thrust is pushing me over just a little bit, so it's not gonna work very well. So I have to keep adjusting myself if I do too many things. So yeah, I didn't really like this that much. I mean, it got the job done when I needed it, but often I had to keep redoing stuff because I would tilt too much and I didn't know it, and then before you know it, I was falling kind of like I am right now. All right, so let's get on to the next one. Okay, this here is the Scrap Drone 2.0, and this one was way more ambitious than I should have made it, because it was essentially a failed project, but I ended up with a functional version that was still way better than the first one. So the idea with this thing was insane. You can look at the difference in the webbing. That thing is super simple compared to this. It was my real first attempt at like using logic on my own. So the goal of this was really interesting. I actually wanted to be able to get into whatever seat I wanted and have the same exact control setup, no matter what. So forward would be this direction if I was sitting in this seat, forward would be this direction if I was sitting in this seat, and same thing with the pitch, the roll, the yaw, all of that. And not only that, but this thing has 2 modes. It has the normal mode like the one that you just saw where you have to pitch to move yourself side to side, forward and back, but if you press number 10, it switches into strafing mode, which instead of tilting, you actually just strafe along that axis, which makes it much easier to zoom and pan without losing control. So let me show you an example. The reason why the seat is painted is because this is the only seat that works with complete control. It turns out that when I hooked everything up, I didn't hook up the logic right to make it possible for the other seats to have full control. So the other seats only have yaw and altitude. They're not able to do the pitch the same way, unfortunately. So I gave up on that idea. All right, so this seat, here I'm gonna show you the basic controls. So we have our normal up and down, we have our tilting, see? So right now I'm pressing 5, 6, 7, 8, which to me is up, down, left, right. So up, down, we got left, we got right. And this keeps me on my roll and my pitch, as you can see. But check this out, I'm gonna press those same buttons now. So up, down, left, right, but first I'm gonna press number 10. All right, so you saw that little light happen in the back there. So now if I press up, instead of tilting forward, this happens. So now I strafe forward. So now if I want to go forward and back, I'm not gonna, in first person mode, it's gonna be so much easier because I'm not gonna have to keep track of my tilt. I'm just gonna be going forward and back, no tilt to worry about. So you can see in first person, if I wanna zoom into this tree now, I can zoom in no problem. I don't have to guess how much I'm tilted. And I can slowly slow down, just like that. There we go. I can go up and down, no problem. So in other words, this just works much, much better. But you can see, it's not really well balanced for some reason. And honestly, I couldn't really figure out how. Here, I put it back into tilt mode now. But especially if I do yaw, it gets really, really weird. You can see it getting a little bit, yep, especially if I switch directions like that, it gets a little bit weird and starts just getting way off axis. And that was bothering me a lot because yaw I thought was going to be really useful and I didn't want to keep getting off axis. So what I decided to do was actually deal with it for now. This is the 3.0, which is honestly not too much different than this. It's almost exactly the same, except I painted it, and I got rid of all the unnecessary connections on these seats. The seats are no longer connected on the other side, so that way it's just not confusing. And I painted it so it was much more clear which side was the front. So this one is really not any different. It just looks better, and it's a little bit more simplified, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can see as I do my my yaw, you can see it's still not very well balanced. And so the reason why I think is because although this thing is symmetrical on the Z and the Y axes, I think that is, it is not symmetrical on the X axis. So that means that these thrusters right here aren't necessarily putting force into the center of mass. So that is why I think it was a little bit wobbly when it comes to the yaw and the turning motion. So that's when I came up with Scrap Drone 4.0. Which is the one you've seen in my videos lately, which is this one right here. And as far as I know, this thing is completely symmetrical in every axis, the X, the Y, and the Z axis. And I put some glass in there just so you could see in, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, this thing has a lot of thrusters, and it's got a little bit of logic going on in here. And the frustrating thing with this is so much of this like logic and buttons and stuff are completely useless. They're just there to keep symmetry. because I wanted to make sure everything about this thing was completely symmetrical. So I made sure that if there was a button over here on this side, there's gonna be a button on that side, whether or not it needs to be there for use or not. Everything is weight-wise just completely symmetrical, and that enabled me to make sure that these thrusters, these ones that are responsible for the yaw here, that those are definitely gonna be centered to the center of mass. So this is what we have now. So if I go up into the air here, and you can see if I go ahead and push like this, I have it a lot weaker, which it has this little like jump, like the skip thing, which in Scrap Mechanic, I don't know why they do that, but it's really, really frustrating. But still, what? Like, look at this thing. It is still getting off center. And that really annoys me, because I think the reason, after consulting with a couple of the friends, the Scrap Mechanic friends I got, I think the reason is it doesn't matter with the center of mass. What matters is the center of lift, and even though everything is perfectly centered, the lift is coming out of the bottom, not the center. So I think these things are technically pushing above the center of lift. And why I don't like this at all is because that means in order to actually push against the center of lift, that means that all these thrusters pointing down have to be like an extra 4 blocks higher, which is then gonna make it not symmetrical vertically. And unless I want to put one up and one down so that they're like this, and then put the other one centered to that, and that is just a nightmare for compactness and having this thing be maneuverable. So I don't know if it's really possible to create an efficient drone that is perfectly symmetrical and will not get off balance at all, while at the same time being efficient on space. But this thing works way better than any of the previous ones, especially when it comes to the strafing. Let me show you how this thing works. This thing's actually pretty fun to use. You can see it's pretty well balanced just in hover mode here. And the same controls. So if I press number 10, I'm just getting myself straight now with my tilt here. So once I straighten out, then I can activate, with that button, number 10, I can activate strafe mode, which means now all those controls are now strafing controls. So this thing is really fun to use. The only thing is yaw will get you a little bit off center, so it's much harder to use yaw, but you can see we're doing okay right now, a little bit off. So I can go ahead and switch back to tilt mode to adjust myself, but the problem is, if I'm in first person, I don't know what my tilt is. So that's why I try to use the yaw as less as possible if I am in first person mode. So if I get rid of my HUD here, you can see it just looks, it looks so smooth, and it's just really nice to create those like zooms, those panning shots, those aerial shots if we have a course that we want to show off aerially. But unfortunately, if I put a follow camera on here, make sure my follow camera is straight, it looks really, really cool to use follow cam and kind of like turn like this, but you never know when you're going to be getting too far off balance. Right now it's working okay. We're going to go ahead and go up the mountain here. Gonna get some nice rising shots of this mountain. Ah, yeah, this is looking epic. Look at that. But now, since I've used my tilt a lot, or my yaw rather, since I use my yaw a lot like this, if I zoom out, I bet I'm gonna be not quite centered. Yeah, see, I'm a little bit off. It's way better than the previous creations, but I'm still a little bit off. So that's gonna affect my my stability when I'm trying to slow down or trying to change directions with my strafe. But every once in a while, if you do a check and you correct yourself, then you can get back into action. Now, the cool thing about strict follow cam, which was actually introduced after I made this drone, is that you put in strict follow cam and you enable tilt mode. Am I on tilt mode right now? Yeah, I'm on tilt mode. Then you can create these kind of shots. Check this out. So if I'm facing forward and I want to go forward, but I also want to tilt down. Oh, look at this. See, this is a fun shot here. Yes, and I can like, I'll turn it off for a little bit, so now it's like a falling shot, and then I'm gonna raise myself a little bit with the upwards. Yeah, that's a good shot. See, that feels good, and now I'm gonna do strafe mode so I can go sideways now. Yeah. So this is the whole goal of this, was to just have a nice, compact, and easily usable drone that can get any of the shots I want without having to worry too much about tilting and like turning over and losing my control in midair. So I'm going to be uploading these on the workshop so that you guys can use them too in your videos or for fun or whatever. So I want to let me know what you guys think. I think I'm only going to upload to this one since it's the best working one. The other ones are just like the same thing, but less efficient and less controllable. So I'll give you guys a quick recap on the controls in case you want to use it yourself. Number 9 is the first button you want to press is always number 9 because that's the one that's going to create your neutral buoyancy. And then for this one, number 10 is going to be your switching mode. So if you want to be in strafe mode like this, you press number 10. If you want to be in your normal mode, you press number 10 to switch back. But you're going to start off in your tilt mode first. And then 1, 2, 3, and 4 is your up, down, left, and right. 5, 6, 7, 8 is your forward, back, left, and right as far as roll goes. And I remap those to T, G, F, H, up, down, left, right, and then 9 and 10 are R and Y. So I'm actually curious, I want to reach out to you guys. I haven't really used these for anything like really cinematic lately. If I did, what would you want to see? What kind of like cinematic camera shots do you think this would be interesting to use? Because maybe I'll find something really cool in the comments that might inspire some kind of like cinematic scrap mechanic short film or something. Because I've always wanted to do something more with these, but I was kind of out of ideas, so I wasn't really sure what exactly to do, but I figured I'd reach out to you guys and see if you had any good ideas for me to use. So definitely leave a comment down below, letting me know what you would like to see on the channel as far as these cinematic camera drones go, and let me know if you guys make anything, because I definitely want to see it. And if you want to let me know what you guys make, please join the Discord, and you can post it there. I check the Discord every single day, and I respond when I have time to you guys, so there's a link down in the description for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm gonna take us out here with a crash into this tree. Nailed it, because that's how much control I have. I can crash into any tree I want. This has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Welcome to the end screen. Well, you'll probably click away before I get to tell you to subscribe for more fun. And if you really like me, but like not in a creepy way, support me on Patreon. Oh yeah, check out this awesome video I made over here. It's probably even better than this one. Or it might be worse, actually. But if you don't click it, I guess you'll never know.